Hello, Daisy.
Hello, Sheryl.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are
Yeah,
you?
I'm okay. I'm all right. Did you have a good week?
I did. I decided to be bright today with my top. So,
I love that. I think that's fantastic. It's a great color on you, actually.
thank you. I
I
forgot I
really,
had it. I went, oh, I should put it on. So,
it's like shopping in your own closet. It's
absolutely.
nice.
You forget what stick you have. Some even still have tags on it. So,
Right. Let's not go there. Let's not even start that conversation, please. I am so excited for today, and we're going to get kicked off pretty quickly. And this is really you brought our guest today, which I'm really excited about. And I'm going to let you kind of take it off. But let me just kind of get started for everybody. So, uh, welcome to the Glass House. This is where we look at business from the inside and the outside to expose the gap between what's embedded and what's actually embodied in your organization and in your people. I'm Sheryl Lynn, founder and chief momentum officer of Engage 3P.
um,
Never gets old.
I
Never.
know.
Yeah.
And I'm Daisy Watkins, founder of DW Concepts and unpack.ai.
I had a call a couple hours ago and with an old client of mine, hopefully a soon to be new one. And he said, "Oh, I love your title." And I said, "Feel free. It's all yours. You can take away. You can take away." If you are here today, thank you. We know you had loads of options of doing other things, and we really appreciate it, whether you're live with us or you're watching us recorded in the future. So this will be in the past, but And before we go any further, also, we really want your engagement more than we love your reactions and we want your comments and your questions. And we'd love to try to make this more of a conversation than just kind of talking at you and being a broadcast. I've tried to figure out other ways to do it. But we want to know who's there. Hello, Heather. And I see LinkedIn user, and I can't see right now who that is, but we'll figure that out. But yeah, so really excited.
Perfect. So, we're starting off. All right. Every
Yeah.
leadership. So every leadership conference talks about resilience. Every wellness program talks about balance. Every value deck says we care about the whole person. Have you heard that before, Shira?
Yeah, right.
And yet leaders are burning out at record rates right now.
Yeah.
Decision fatigue is now a norm, not an exception. And the people building businesses from scratch, the solopreneurs, the founders, the consultants, they skip themselves entirely because they believe joy is the thing that comes after revenue and being stable.
Right.
What is that exactly backwards? What is joy? In the reward for finishing the work, what if it's just an operating system that makes the work possible in the first place?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Organizations embed wellness into their benefit packages, right? And into their value decks, as you mentioned. And leaders embody decision fatigue, reactivity, survival mode. I've developed something called the MIA diagnostic. What is missing in their own in their own regulation, right? What's invisible, and how that dysregulation cascades to every person they lead, everything that they do. What is assumed is that wellness programs fix a regulation problem. I'm sorry to say they do not. And we can't delegate self-regulation just to an app that people are going to put in their pockets on their phones.
Very true. That's from the inside. And from the outside, AI reads the signal as this deregulated organization. We think about all the platforms that your employees can post now, right? Before it was kind of limited by through word of mouth or what could possibly be in the paper. So high turnover is one that we see. Glassdoor reviews describing chaos. Even leadership content has oscillating between inspirational and desperation. Candidates research your organization through AI before even applying.
Sure.
It even existed. The leader's internal state no longer self-selects before before they even know they existed. The leader's internal state is no longer private, right? It
No.
becomes an organization's external brand. And the World Health Organization actually classifies burnout. I'm sorry, I'm going to read this part right here, make sure that I quote it properly. The World Health Organization classifies burnout as an occupational phenomenon.
Wow.
Gallup report says 33% of employees are engaged at work. According to Vistage research, founder burnout rates exceed 70%. 70%. The Global Wellness Institute values the global wellness industry at $5.6 trillion.
Jeez. Unbelievable. It's not getting any better.
No, not at all. So today I want to welcome Sheryl Lynn. Sheryl Lynn is the founder and CEO of JOYELY. And Sheryl Lynn, correct me if I didn't pronounce that right. That's a tongue twister for me. And the creator of Joy Intelligence. That's actually what I want to get into today as well. She co-founded the company with her daughter Bailey, and together they wrote a book, Why Joy? The operating system for emotionally aligned teams. Her framework is built on 3 pillars: safety, presence, and joy. I'm going to let her talk about a little bit more about that. But her core practice is 4 words: sit, breathe, think, and feel. But here is what makes Sheryl different that for most people in the wellness space. She's a serial entrepreneur. But we're going to deep dive into that a little bit. And she spent 15 years scaling a national CPG sales organization, owned a restaurant, built a media production company, run a women's magazine across 7 cities, and was paid for over a decade. She knows what it feels to build, break, rebuild, and keep going. So this is
Amazing.
not a textbook. It came from living it. The Chair of Joy has traveled 22 US tours, creating over 30,000 impact experiences. And the JQ framework is now used in boardrooms, hospitals, nonprofit centers, and family therapy centers, offices. And as of March 2026, the Neuros Clinic is running a clinical pilot study on their methodology.
That's incredible.
So in 1 week on May 6th, Sheryl is hosting JQ's 60 Voices, where 60 people each give 60-second talks. We're going to talk about that in a little bit as well, grounded in the JOYELY framework. And I am speaker 39, proud to say. So the conversation is personal to me as well. So Sheryl, welcome to the Glass House.
Yay.
Wow.
Hello.
That is the best introduction I have ever heard, Daisy. You are on stage introducing me wherever we go from now on, please.
I love it.
So anyway, welcome so much. Welcome for joining us today. So much to unpack with your experience and what you and Bailey have built, and obviously the JQ60. I'm passionate about that. You see me with all my videos. But let's get a little bit started here. So tell us about that. So let's start with you, Sheryl. So tell us about. Let's start with the work that you're doing with Bailey. So tell us about Bailey itself as well. I'm very fascinated by your daughter, by the way.
You are? Well, she's going to love hearing that. So Bailey is a systems analyst. She basically can solve problems before a lot of people even know what problems they have. And I think she's diagnosed autistic. And so she's very, very, very detailed oriented. She dives very deep into a subject when something feels off to her, and she will present a solution in a very calm way before you go like, Bailey, I think I could use some help on this, and it's solved and the app is built and all the things. So she left Daimler Trucking and Nike, both corporate experiences, to bring her experience of building a national mental health organization within those companies. Daimler specifically, 14,000 employees used what she created, which had absolutely no mental health conversation at all. They had crying rooms. People went and cried when they were having a breakdown. They had no systems in place. And as we were talking a little bit earlier, the whole EAP piece of that as well. So I look forward to sharing a little bit more about Bailey and what we created. But basically, she's a co-founder, and we are so excited to bring to the world what we've created around JOYELY and Joy Intelligence.
I'm in complete freak out mode at the moment, with the understanding that an organization set up rooms for people to cry in and didn't then go, maybe instead of just setting up a room, we made, wait, somebody, what? I mean,
I have no words. There are no words for that. And
but
I feel like that was, what, maybe 5 years ago. So I feel like
wow.
even since I've started doing this, just 7 years, I've seen a little bit of a shift. I've seen opportunities. But you know what? I don't blame anyone. There's nothing wrong. I just think that we were never taught or given the guidelines or understanding about what to do. So I think the most exciting thing that I'm working with or seeing in my work is that CEOs and executive leaders and their whole board of directors, the managers, everybody knows they're not in therapy and that they can't handle it and that they're seeking outside support and services. So I think that's why our conversation is so exciting right now. People are like ready to hear this and ready to take action.
I want to call out Heather. Hello, my dear. I'm so excited. Heather's chiming in. Heather's one of our regulars, and returning to our pod is Laura. Hello, Laura. Laura was off for a few weeks, starting her brand new job, which we can't wait to hear about next month. And both of them are freaking out in the comments about this whole thing. So yeah, it's wow. I don't want to just fixate on this. I will say, I just read, don't remember where. I hope this didn't come from you, Sheryl, because if it did, then it might be a little embarrassing. But I just read that the advent of AI, right? The notion that it's taking away tasks and supposed to be creating so much more time for people, right? So it's supposed to be like, oh, you can do instead of. No, I was speaking to another client of mine about this. Instead of then giving them the opportunity to say, great, I don't need to work 15 hours a day. I can get this done in 7. I can get this done, I can have a better quality of life. They're just filling it with other things.
Correct.
Right. So that's not going to help with burnout. That's not going to help with the crying room. That doesn't solve the problem.
Yes. Business speed is absolutely on fire. Like, and you're in the AI world, Daisy, as well. Like, we are just in a place where there is no physical, spiritual, financial, even way to keep up with the changes and how that impacts our bodies, our brain, heart coherence, right? Like, how do we process what's going on? It's just there, like I said earlier, like we can get into our work a little bit if you want, but there literally has been no way for us to navigate from our therapist on Monday to next therapist meeting on Monday. Like, what do you do within the 7 days in between? And it just keeps piling up on us. And it's overwhelming to a point where people are going, maybe I'll just give up. Like, maybe I just quit and go home and never go out of my house again. Like, we're at that point. It's pretty serious out there. In fact, I'm in Nevada, and I'm going to say this out loud a million times. Nevada is rated number 51 out of 51 states as a place of access to mental health, suicide rates, like on 17 different characteristics. And why? What in the world are we doing? It makes no sense to me. And I think New York is number 1. Like, I think people want to move there. They're excited to be there. They don't have any problem with numbers, but there's also quality and value that are in question everywhere, not just here.
Is that any relation? And I know not all of Nevada obviously is gaming, but does that have anything to do with the gaming community by any chance?
I think so. I think that there's a 24/7 conversation here every single day, all day long, and people are expendable, and we move through folks really fast. But at the end of the day, we're a community that just built really fast, and our infrastructure isn't quite there to keep up with the demand. And there's, I think, in the stat is like 300 to 350 persons per therapist, where here it's over 480. So it's just a lack of. So at the end of the day, we shouldn't go on a venture of finding more therapists. We should ourselves take accountability for who we are and what we're about and what we want to do in life, so we can be intentional at work, at play, in retirement, with our kids and family, with our friends. We're taking care of our veterans and seniors and our aging parents and like all the things. It's like there will never be one solution or one therapist that's going to give us all the answers. I believe that we need to have it, and we need to find it, and we need to ask different questions.
So based on obviously the studies that you've had, so this prompted you and Bailey to build something, right? And so I
Mhm.
want to learn more about that. I know when we first met, one of the things you said was like, I said I was in AI. I go, oh my God, my daughter is an AI scientist and she knows all these things. And so that's how I kind of we bonded that way. And then mindsets too, obviously, and personalities. But what I was fascinated about is we were talking about EQ, like all the EQ, right? And that you
Mhm.
discovered the layers to that. So,
Mhm.
so I am very, very excited to learn more about what you guys have discovered. The launch that you
Absolutely.
have as a pilot with a behavioral health clinic. So tell us how this all started. What was your discovery? What's the biggest thing that you want to share with everybody? I like a lot.
So many things.
Yes.
First of all, let me just ask your listeners, if you don't mind, and including yourselves, if you don't mind, just putting an emotion that's in your heart right now, or if you could name one thing that's going on in your body, and it could be overwhelm or stress. Maybe you're calm, maybe you're excited, maybe you're passionate, maybe you're feeling judged or criticized. Don't we all feel that sometimes, right? Cher, is there ever a time where you feel like maybe you're just feeling judged or criticized, and sort of in a
All the
non
time.
yeah, can you give an example?
Um, should I tell what I told you before we started?
Give
Okay.
it to you. Give it to
So
you.
this is so crazy. Then those of you who know me will know. Okay. So yesterday was supposed to be hair washing day. And I had no water when I woke up in the morning because they're doing construction and they turned off the water. So I had to go on with my day. And I had a really big call later in the day and I couldn't wash my hair because I got back and then I do the call. And so for the first probably 5 minutes of the call, and I tried to zhuzh and spray but for the first 5 minutes of the call, the only thing I was thinking about on Zoom, mind you, is that they can see how filthy my hair is.
Oh my
And
goodness.
and first of all, I guaranteed it didn't enter their mind. 100% it wasn't even a thought process. Two of the men didn't even have hair. And I think that and I think that
You're judging them as they're judging you,
I
even
mean, I'm
better.
not judging, but they just, I mean, I don't think it's a thought that they have, right? They don't have hair, so I don't think they think about it. So, and I'm thinking they can't smell it, they can't they can't touch it, they can't. And I'm just kind of, and I'm constantly, I've had it like a weird ponytail, and I'm doing this, and I'm trying to, and that's all I thought about for probably the first 5 minutes. And
All
then
right,
it's,
yes.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
do it. So what I would love to do, why I asked that question is I like to do this at the beginning and the end of the meeting, is to do a chair of joy experience. And I've just done them so many times that I can see quick responses. So I would like to do that for us and your listening
Yeah.
audience so that we can have the best conversation available today.
Okay.
So let's grab a chair of joy. So my chair of joy is often in my kayak. If I could think of one that's not currently in my office setting, it's usually in a kayak on a river in Wisconsin with the eagles overflying my head. So if you could pick a chair of joy, Daisy, where would your chair of joy be? If you could anchor one in the world, on the beach or the mountain, where would yours be?
Mine would be at this balcony overlooking in Maui, overlooking the ocean, and just this white lounge chair, and the right perfect temperature. The breeze is blowing because I need to have air blowing in my hair
Fresh
with the
air.
menopause going on.
Mhm.
Anyway, so
Perfect.
just sitting
Yes.
there and just
Yes.
listening to the waves and just being present with everything, with nature, feeling the wind, all that, and
Okay.
just
Excellent. And again, if our audience could type where yours is, that would be great. And Cheryl, is it Shira, right? Shira?
sure, yeah.
Shira.
So I won't do the beach thing because I live on the sea and I'm blessed to have that every single day. The first thing that came to mind for me is that chair is at the dining room table of my friend in Florence when her husband makes the greatest lasagna you will ever eat in your life. And we drink a bunch of wine and eat his food. And then he comes out with a cake. And then, as I like to say to him, he doesn't know how cake works because he
Yes.
cuts the cake based on the number of people sitting at the table. That's how many pieces he makes. And I said, that's not how cake works, but it's a joy. It's a joyous time every single time.
All right, beautiful. So you can
yeah.
close your eyes, but you don't have to. Those were absolutely brilliant ones. And for everybody who's listening, I just want you to very, very clearly see if you can anchor and tap into your first chair of joy. I always say it's like your first kiss, like know where you are. You can always have different ones as we go forward, but when you do your first one, like it feels really good because it's the first one that popped up. And when you're in a stressful situation or you're feeling burned out or you're in a meeting, God forbid, and your hair isn't washed, you can quickly, immediately anchor to your chair of joy. So if you don't mind closing your eyes for 60 seconds, you don't have to, but you can, even shorter. I'll do a really quick one to start with. So step one, there's 4 steps: sit, breathe, think, feel, as Daisy said coming in. So this first step is to sit in your chair of joy. Imagine you're there. Let yourself just sit back in the current chair that you're sitting in and let your back hit the back of the chair and your feet on the ground. Feel the sand on the ground, or feel the, you know, the even the beautiful kitchen floor of the place that you're sitting in with your friend or wherever yours is. Take a deep breath in and a really deep breath in. So deep breath in. And like box breathing or whatever your favorite breath is, just hold it at the top. And as you're holding it at the top, kind of bring in the judgment, the fear, the wonder, the worry, the awe, the curiosity, the possibility, the whatever's going on in your body, kind of bring that up. And as you exhale, just kind of see that going out like a light mist going out and dropping into the ocean or out into the floor or down the mountain or wherever you'd like to go. And let that just go fully. And let's just take one more quick deep breath in. And we're having an awesome conversation around your joy intelligence. So I want you to just kind of conjure up some ideas. Like, what does that mean for me? Like, what is joy intelligence for me? How do I show up looking like that? Because we all are. And then just exhale that. And step 3, I'd like for you to think about what's one thing that you want to take away from the day today before you put your head on the pillow. Just one thing that would be absolutely dynamic and wonderful, and sort of see what that is happening maybe later today. And then just put your feet on the ground. And again, how you feel, which is the 4th step. Tap your toes in the ground. Let that energy move up from your toes to your knees, up through your hips, your spine, your chakras, up to your shoulders, and then roll your neck around all the way in a 360. And you can come back whenever you're ready. So that is a biohack that took me 7 years to create. It is now a universal language that people do with their children, with their husbands, with their CEOs. And before I ask you questions about that, I just want to tell you a quick story about how it works in real life. Would you like to hear?
Please. That was
All right.
fabulous.
That was fabulous. I did too. I did it with you. It was really nice. So one of my clients, everybody's in a different place with their joy intelligence. This particular client is very high because remember when we were young, were you the house that all the families went to? Like your mom said, come on over, right? Maybe you were the one who went to the houses, who knows? But whatever that is, that's what they have in this organization. All of the leaders had that with their moms and their families growing up. Come over to my house, let's have all the food. And so their joy intelligence is based on safety, presence, and joy. They're already safe, which means when their artists walk in the door or their clients, they feel safe instantly, right? And so when they feel safe, your presence goes up, right? Think about that, in your own day, how when you're safe, you can feel present. And then finally, joy. So safety, presence, and joy. When those 3 baselines are continuing to increase, your joy intelligence goes up. So anyway, these 2 guys walked into the room having just had a dispute out in the parking lot before I got there. And they were so excited. The first time I've seen them so excited to go, what do we do with this joy intelligence that you say we have, right? And so I took them through the process. We did the thing. And literally in that time frame that we just did in 60 seconds, they were looking at each other, which they weren't when they walked in the room. There was no room for a meeting. There was no conversation we were about to have. And so that's why I wanted to do it at the beginning of our talk today, is because what's possible when you stop. But anyway, they started laughing literally 60 seconds later, because one of the things I said was, imagine the 2 of you, laughing on why you started this in the first place. And they literally were going through the emotions. I'm embarrassed because that happened. And then joy because it's over with. And can we just move on? What's the possibility? So anyway, quick, Sheryl, what was your moment that you thought of that you're going to lay your head at the end of the day today? What would be your sort of proof of the joy intelligence was working today?
For me, what came to mind was that I'm not going to go to bed thinking about the things that I can't control and what frustrated me today, right? I'm just going to go to bed thinking, let's just pick up and move on for tomorrow, right?
Beautiful.
Because that that just tears me down.
Yeah. Beautiful. And Daisy, what was your moment that you thought of that you were maybe
Mine,
interaction today? Mhm.
mine was, mine it will be that, at the end of the day, I always think, similar to Cheryl, like, I reflect on my day, like, not about what went wrong, but today I'm going to just be thankful for every little thing, whether, this conversation, the meal I'm going to have later on, and not think about what did not go right or what conversations did I not say properly, but just be thankful that I exist today. That's just for today. Yeah.
It seems easy in theory, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
It is easy in theory, right? And also, what else is there? So the mental health statistics that we talked about before. So you get an opportunity. So when you learn that your joy intelligence for the both of you is very high, you start looking, and when you start discovering this conversation, and again, I just want to say that we're not wrong in how we thought, because as women growing up in this world and our parents, no one told us that emotions were good or bad or right or wrong no one told us that emotions were just data. What they told us were emotions are good or bad, right or wrong, positive or negative. And if you're feeling those inadequacies or judgments or criticism, you're definitely, you're in the back of the school bus, or you're, not invited to the party or whatever you are, right? And so that's why it lingers in us. So when we learn that emotions are only 6 to 8 minutes, like the guys did yesterday, they're like, okay, so we're in laughter and we're curious. Now what's next? Like they can get excited about, okay, I lived all those emotions. So what's left? What's possible? So the two of you, and I invite your audience too, as you go through your day to day, like just pay attention. When do you feel safe? When are you present? When are you, escalating your joy? And when you put your head on your pillow at night, those are the only memories that get to come in your mind, because you're deciding that for yourselves. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I just want to acknowledge, sorry, Shira, Heather, a couple of them did the exercise from the comments here, and Heather did the beach feeling and the heat of the her skin. One follow through is obviously as a new creative idea. So that's her. That's what she.
That's beautiful. That is so true. I think creative ideas come and if you're spiritual, like I have a full-time Buddhist practicing joy intelligence, because he says, I chant, I do all the things, and at the end of the day, I still am left with my emotions. So he did the chair of joy, and he said it was one of the most powerful experiences he's ever had. So if it's God, if you're a Christian, and when do we actually stop during the day and listen to what the God, spirit, universe has to say to us, so we can develop new perspectives or new ideas, or an individual thought, God forbid, that with all the AI stuff, anybody has an individual thought anymore, or something that comes from our own brains. So yeah, I think that at the end of the day, there's a lot when it comes to JOYELY, but the very core, the crux of all of this is, can we just create, sit, breathe, think, feel in every language, in every country, in every part of the world, that has people and animals. I've done shares of joy with animals.
I love that. I wonder though, Cheryl, it's interesting, right? So when we start off by talking about how there are these horrible work environments, and listen, I've been in them, right? And I've worked for heinous people. How do we, and to share with our audience, right? This is great doing it here, and something that we all want to be here, and we're having fun, and we're having this great conversation, and it's really amazing. But when we're in the moment, right? When we're being, criticized, or whatever would create an environment that somebody needs to go to a room and cry when they're at the office. And I will share this. I had a client, an auto manufacturer, interestingly enough, that is across the highway from another auto manufacturer in the electric car space. And let's just say my client is not the one that everyone knows. My client was one that was creating something new that is gorgeous and amazing. And most of those people came across the highway because it was such a horrific place to work that some ended up in institutions. Some ended up having mental breakdowns. And when we're in environments like this, and it doesn't have to be to that extreme, but when we're in environments like that, what do you recommend? I mean, the exercise is amazing, But when we're at that level, when we're like this or beyond, what can someone do other than go and cry?
That's painful, isn't it?
It is.
So I think if I could just share why I started this organization, and it was for a lot of those reasons. I've been a multimillionaire many times over. I've created opportunities in the food and beverage industry prior to what I'm doing now. I've owned the bar and grill, like you said, and people will be people, and there's nothing you can really do. Some will hear us, some won't. Some of those executives are on board, some are not. It just is what it is. But when we've been taught over the years, again, that emotions are right or wrong or good or bad, or that you need to put them, leave them at the door and you're not supposed to experience them, it's going to create havoc, which is where we're in. It's why we're in such a chaotic place. So I kept asking more questions all through those businesses. Why are people settling? Why do they work at places like that? Why are they settling in? Why do they tolerate that? I had so many questions. So it literally led me to 7 years of R&D on every and I can share my screen if you like, but every psychological model on the planet. And that's what Bailey took. She literally took 3,000 emotions, boiled them down to 160 and then 80, created cards around them and this whole thing. But at the end of the day, what I wanted to do was live my best life, right? Oprah, like I'm a fan, and I wanted to not be caught up in those moments that I was out of control. So that's why we boiled it down into the just 60 seconds. And when people can actually hear what I'm saying right now, which is we're all joy intelligent, and we all can use that modality that I literally spent 7 years working on and condensing and changing and manipulating and to create a biohack that you can do it yourself. So real quick, question yesterday, or situation yesterday, a woman comes on my Zoom, right? I'm talking to people every day. I've had the best day up till 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And she gets on the phone and you could tell her looking down at me, like, what's your doctorate in? Where is the psychological studies? And why did you call me? What do you want from me? That was her. Like, I was like, what? We don't even know each other. Like, wait a second. Right. So as she was lambasting me with her questions, I sat back. I did sit. I took a deep breath in. I could hear her dog barking. I knew she wanted to go play with her dog. And I just let my appreciation for her work settle in my body. And I just heard her and I wished her well and said, thank you for your time. And we left. And whether we talk again, great. Whether it doesn't really matter, right? At the end of the day, I didn't let her take me down. Right. I didn't give her the opportunity to mess with the rest of my day, which was going so well. And prior to JOYELY and my joy intelligence and safety, presence, and joy, that would have put me under the bus. And I would have been all night spinning about what I could have said different and done different and all the things. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I love that. I am a New Yorker, so I have a therapist because one does in New York have therapists. And she gave me the greatest hack for me that worked for me. And she said, whenever I get anxious or I'm in an anxious situation, to put my hand on my lower belly and take a breath. And that action of physically moving my hand, and I tend to talk with my hands anyway, but putting the feeling of that triggered something that then made me do exactly what you said. Just stop. Right? There's nothing more powerful than silence, right? In a difficult situation. So that's my mechanism, right? That works for me to kind of go, okay, here we go.
And can I challenge that real quick?
Yeah, of course.
During your 5 minutes of your hair being unkempt, did you remember to do that so you could settle yourself, which is brain heart coherence? It's just another biohack, right? I'm curious if you did, and if you didn't, why or why not?
I probably did because I've done it for so many years that I probably did it subconsciously without even thinking about it now. But I do remember I was so excited about the call, and it was a very big meeting for me. And so I was so excited about it, and it started off really great. And I was so worried about my hair, and then it took a rapid left turn. And so the minute it took the left turn, that ripped me out of whatever else I was thinking because I had to focus. because it just came so far out of left field that I went, whoa, where did this just go? Right. Because that wasn't supposed to be it. So yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I want to
I guess, go ahead,
Sorry.
Daisy.
Sorry, go ahead, finish your thought because
I was just gonna say, when you have a mouse or a cup on your, or even a bracelet that says sit, breathe, think, feel in front of you, or
Well,
it's on your shirt, like, so the idea, and I don't disagree with therapy or any biohack or anything people do, red light therapy, all the things, touch your belly, clap your hands, snap your fingers, go for a bike ride, go out in the garden, go on a labyrinth, like do all the things. But the idea is to answer your question, which was, how do you do it when you're in a hot moment? So you literally, I do chairs of joy in 10 seconds when things like this are going on. And so we want our executives, our managers, our leaders, the people that have 10,000 people in their organization, be able to say, okay, at every hour, at the top of the hour, or every 15 minutes, we're going to take 60 seconds and do a chair of joy. So it now becomes a preventative mental health conversation versus, oh my God, my world is falling apart and I don't know how to handle this. Because, and again, I could show the map, but the map is like, there is no right or wrong or good or bad. You're just moving through 80 emotions. And if you play hide and seek with your grandchild, you're experiencing probably 50 of those emotions. Where did they go? Isn't this fun? And oh my God, I'm so tired, right? Up and down and all the things. And so the idea as human beings is to not be like, oh my God, I'm so emotional. It's like, I'm emotional to the degree that I can now measure it and I can calculate it and I can create opportunity out of it, because my KPIs are now impacted by the emails my company sends, by the way I communicate to my sales force, et cetera, et cetera. So
I love that.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. You don't realize how many, you think you're focused on one emotion you're feeling at that moment, which is probably being tired, but at the same time, you're also, there's a worry. There's, because I'm tired, I can't be tired because I can't be going today. Then the stress, the emotion of the stress, like I'm not going to finish my task. I do not see it that way. To me, it's like one focal focus on.
Yes.
You pick on, that's the most horrible, I think, probably at that moment, right? That you could possibly label. I think that's the word I'm looking for. You can label one thing that's the worst, but you don't realize it's a layers and layers of that. So thank you. That there's a lot that you're fighting with, that you find the one that you latch onto, probably because that's your biggest trauma. So I would imagine that you latch into the most comfortable trauma that you can, which is weird to say that it's a comfortable trauma, meaning your body's just used to that type of reaction or emotion. Am I wrong with that, Sheryl?
No, you're absolutely right. And you mentioned the clinical study we're doing at the Irvine Clinic, Neuros Clinic with Dr. G. And if you go to our website, you can learn about Dr. G and what he says. And he's been in therapy and providing different modalities for 40 years. And he's like, I've never seen anything like Joy Intelligence and the things that Bailey and I created, because never has anyone taught us to navigate those emotions. And so safety, presence, and joy. Again, you guys are very joy intelligent. You know that, right? You know that. You know that because you show up for your clients, because you're leading, because you're guiding, because people hire you because of who you are. So your ability to be safe, present, and joy all day long, right, is already high. So the question for leaders is, how do we turn each of those up even a little bit more, so that now when you're even a little bit higher, your CEOs that you're working with are looking at you like, whatever you have, I want more of it. And so the company that you talked about across the street, right, the craziness, those companies will just watch the other one thrive and explode, right? And so it is our job at JOYELY or with Dr. G to fix anybody or anyone or any therapy. I think that the people who are ready for this are going to have the JQ edge. They're going to implement it and utilize it. And it's just the foundation, right? Like, I don't want to learn about my emotions for the rest of my life. I just want to build my life knowing that I'm joy intelligent. And what does that look like? It looks like I hike more and I go into the woods and I camp, and I started a little comedian show, and it's called The Squat. If you guys like to learn what that's all about, I'd love to share that with you.
Yeah.
I have a lot of other things I want to do than think about my emotions all day long, right? I want to go live life with you guys and go to, with the sea and play and ride boats and all the things. And know that when we're doing that, we're at that elevated place together. The people around us are just going to be like, what's going on? And to me, when we're in a world of upside down with our political whatever warfare that's going on, the best thing that we can do is put our head on the pillow at the end of the night, not spinning about all the things that went wrong or supposedly wrong, but instead raising our vibration around your safety, presence, and joy and your joy intelligence.
So Heather, did you want to ask a question?
Go ahead, Sheryl. You were going to say the spin to that was perfect.
Yeah, it's a perfect segue because Heather said, do you suggest having a pillow activity for personal, for work, for family, or have one that impacts it all?
Who said that? Heather. A pillow activity. Oh, do I have to pay her to use that? That was so good.
100%. Yeah.
So good. So good. So real quick, I met Donnie Osmond the other night. I went into, did he sign this? He did. There, he signed his signature. And I had these earrings on, and the back on the way to his VIP room, my earring fell off. And I was like, it's the same thing, right? I'm so embarrassed. I only have one earring on. I asked everybody in the room, like, do you have a back of the earring? So I get up and get my picture. And just before I go up, I did a chair. So I'm like, Sid, Donnie's lost an earring. He's lost, things, people, like his brother just passed, Alan. I don't know if you know that or not, but he's got more things to think about than my stupid earring, right? And so I did the chair of joy, which was sit, take a deep breath, think about Donnie and how much he cares about mental health. Sheryl, invite him out to an event. So I walk up to Donnie with this new perspective that I didn't have just literally 10 seconds ago, AKA pillow activity, in the middle of meeting Donnie Osmond. And I put my earring up to my ear like this. And I said, Donnie, will you hold up my earring? I just can't find the back. And he did. And I have the picture of him holding up my earring like this.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I love it.
Before I walked away, I said, I have Daisy coming to my event May 6th, and we need a celebrity. And do you do events? And he goes, well, I'm busy May 6th. And we looked at the calendar, and he's like, but I would absolutely love to come to one in the future. So to answer your question, Heather, it is, we sell a deck of cards. If you want to go to Amazon, there are 80 different chairs of joy for 80 different emotions. So yes, there are many ways to do the chair of joy experience, but the baseline, very simple, is sit, breathe, think, feel, and whatever's happening in the moment. And also, if you get our courses, there's audios of me speaking those to you, so you don't have to think them through yourself. Because I've noticed that people developing new neural pathways right off the beginning, like Bailey, for example, autistic. I'd say, come sit in the chair of joy with me. She'd like, I don't know any joy experiences, Mom. Stop asking me that. She was so irritated. And I'm like, what do you mean? Do you remember that one time we went to the park and we went camping? And she's like, no, I don't. And she just truly didn't. It was very difficult for her. So if I could just say, your pillow activities are not good or bad or right or wrong or positive or negative. They just are, and have fun with them. And don't judge yourself for getting them, for not doing them perfectly and all the things. Just enjoy the process of unfolding your joy intelligence.
I so love this. I do. Daisy, I want to make sure that because we are, of course, going to run out of time, like instantly on everything, as we always do. So if we can take, let's say, 2 minutes today and just kind of talk a little bit about our outside story. And Daisy, I don't know if you want to move to that and just have a little bit of a chat on it.
Let's do that. And as you all know, this is stories that we picked up from either through the news or somewhere. So part of it I'm going to be reading. So it's just every week we bring this story, right? And so today it's in 2024, a record of 2,221 CEOs stepped down from their roles. The highest number since tracking began in 2002, 24% more than the year before. So rapidly increasing. And the pipeline behind them is thinning because the next generation is watching and saying, I do not want that life. And I think I've talked about this, interject this a little bit. I talked about the generations and what they see and how each generation is changing in how they want to become leaders or not leaders, or they just want to be their own bosses, right? So the Wall Street Journal ran a piece in April last year, put names and faces to the numbers, and 3 of them stopped me cold. So Sarah, you want to talk about the first one?
Yeah, I
About
will. The first one is Parson Hicks, 43 years old, healthcare finance executive. She was not eating, she was not sleeping, and she quit. And she makes less than half of what she used to. And here's what she traded it in for, right? She watched her nephew accept a math award at his eighth grade graduation. She spent 2 weeks with a cousin who lost her aunt. She had the ability to live her life. And she said, and I'm going to quote, even though I am a person who excels in crisis, at a certain point, it affects my health. I just do not want that kind of life anymore. Then there's, I don't know if I'm going to say this correctly, Ryan Bear, 49, wealth management, took a buyout, moved his family to Puerto Rico, makes a lot less money, catches more baseball games. And he said there's a diminishing return on each additional dollar of wealth. It comes at the expense of not seeing your kids grow up, right? These are not people who failed. These are people who succeeded by every measure that we look at, right? Lots of money. And they walked away because they were not what they were embodying. It was the burnout. They couldn't live their lives. There was nothing left to give. Right? I mean, it's crazy.
And here's the part that connects what Sheryl teaches, right? The article says organizations are now worried about whether their high potential talent is even interested in being leaders. Okay, so that's a same thing. I'm going to relate this to nursing. We are losing a lot of nurses because also what the pandemic did, people then started being shy of being a nurse, or they don't want to be in an acute setting. They want to be in a clinic where their hours are better. So to that degree, that's one of the reasons why we need more nurses as well in the healthcare space. And the next generation is also watching the CEO seat and choosing not to sit in it. That's big, because before our goal is I want to be a CEO, right? That's the biggest thing in the corporate world. That is not a talent pipeline problem. It's actually, that is a signal problem. So the signal these organizations are sending externally through Glassdoor, through LinkedIn, whatever avenues they can post, through every AI platform cataloging their culture, is the job will cost your health, right?
Yeah.
In every article that we read, it's about they're not doing this, they're not doing that, causes distress. And the best talent is reading that signal as they're not going, going somewhere else. They do not want that life. So with the $5.6 trillion in global health wellness spending, did not stop a single one of them. That's scary. So Sheryl, when you hear these numbers, what does your framework say it's actually missing?
I mean, I think people just need to decide, like they're doing, that this isn't working anymore. And that the cool thing about going to Puerto Rico and taking a pay cut is, I went to Puerto Rico and took a pay cut, but also how does that impact my family? There's a lot of consequences and all of the things that go with those decisions. But you only go around once. And so if people could hear what we're talking about when it comes to how to operate their companies, I think we would have a lot less of that. So I guess my ask is, hear our invitation, all three of us, right? Daisy and Shara, is, let's let this conversation land in a different way so that CEOs are not running away and that they are treated differently in the world. People respect them differently, and also how they can impact their entire organizations in a way that is lasting and meaningful, as a life skill.
Yeah, it's very easy in those scenarios, right? Somebody's in wealth management, takes a buyout, has a big chunk of cash, and heads to the beach, right? And so it's very easy for someone to say, well, of course they can do it. They have a big chunk of money, right? We asked earlier, why does someone stay? A sick child, a sick spouse. Correct. They are making not enough money. They're working multiple jobs just to have a roof over their head, right? There are infinite reasons why somebody can't just say, hey, I'm going to pack it all in and go to Puerto Rico or wherever, right? It doesn't, there's priorities, all over the place. I think that what I have found that works for me and kind of what I try to instill in the organizations that I lead and the teams that I lead is, number one, creating an environment that gives people the ability to ask for help, right? That's number one. So I've told the story a million times, but Sheryl, you haven't heard it. When I was at an office and I was leading teams, and I still have the jar. I have this crystal jar. It's about yay big with a lid on it. jar, and I filled it with almond M&Ms. And specifically almond M&Ms because they're hard to find. And so you can't just go downstairs and get them. And I would buy them in these great big bags. And I would always make sure, and I'm not a huge chocolate person, so it's not the thing I would eat necessarily first off the bat. So that's better for me. So I would always make sure it was completely full. Every single morning, I would make sure it was full to the brim. And I would, it would sit on the corner of my desk all the way the closest to the door.
Mhm.
And people would come in my office sometimes just to say, I just need M&Ms. That's all. Right. And I knew sometimes it was, and sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it was kind of a thing to test the waters to see if they can talk. And so I think for leaders, what's really critical is they have to create that space that really is safe. And organizations, I think, are obligated to do that, right? More so, we talked at the beginning about EAP programs, and I've implemented them, and they're, I mean, no offense to the whole, it just doesn't work, right? So we've got to, we're all business owners, right? We can create our own environments where people are safe. It doesn't have to be employees. It can be colleagues. It can be clients. It can be anybody, right? Build the kind of relationship that we want to have. And if we do that in small, I think if you do that in small bites, it spreads, right? I mean, I think when people see happiness and joy and find good, that spreads.
Yeah. It's all those little moments. And Sheryl, I want to make sure we have time. You wanted to show us something earlier. So we take that time right now.
It's okay. I think I went through everything. I pointed everything out, so I think I covered everything. I just want to make a quick comment, Shara, that once you learn about, and I mean to be biased, but what we created is pretty phenomenal. There's no reason for those organizations to do tiny bites anymore. Like if you get this and you're in it, those people can jump in and put joy. I don't want to say douse people in joy intelligence, but give them the tool, right? Like you said, they have a responsibility for that. So there's an opportunity right now for every CEO in the world to jump on board. Once you hear this, you can't unhear it. Once you know your own share of joy, you can't not give it to everyone you know. And also, it's data. Measure it and watch your KPIs go through the roof. And I can stand on that because I know what it's done for my own business. I'm seeing what it's doing for my clients, and it's exciting. It's exciting to have a new conversation around IQ, EQ, and now JQ, joy intelligence.
Thank you. I love it. Let's make sure we tell people how to reach you. So they can get whatever you want to send them and connect with you. And again, do you want to kind of tell us what's the best way? We've got your LinkedIn up here, and your website and everything, but
I have an entire team that manages all the people and all the things, and I talk to everyone. I give my phone number often. If you chat with me on LinkedIn, I'd be happy to share my phone number and have a real conversation. If you go to our website, there's a page called Organization Overview, and there's a video there for me that talks about how to get your company certified in Joy Intelligence. And I'm on a hot mission to find those 25 first companies in the world. We've got a handful of them already, but who can be as quick to the punchline to get this in their organization and see results as fast as possible. So if you know anybody, I'm happy to have those conversations and make a really, really great offer so people can start experiencing this in worldwide. But, first of all, within small companies or large, it doesn't matter, any company, people with leaders who care about their people.
That's it. Oh, that's so cool.
Sheryl, I know there's a lot of layers to what you do, and one of these is obviously the JQ60, which I mentioned earlier. So you want to talk about that a little bit, and maybe we can get some people to do.
Yes. First of all, just thank you for doing the Chair of Joy with me, and we're going to do a 10-second one. So again, your Chair of Joy, go back to the woods, all the things, wherever you're at, take a deep breath in. Just think about letting go, what you have to do yet today, and just see if you can center in on the one thing you learned today, and then think about what you can do to take action in your Chair of Joy today to have new perspectives and feel that in your body. That's the Chair of Joy. The second step into the JOYELY framework is to come to our event May 6th if you're in Nevada. And these 60 voices are so talented. Daisy, like when I choose and pick who's going to be on these stages, it's people that have a life lesson. She doesn't get to sell her company. She doesn't get to pitch us. She's going to tell us why she is successful and who she is and what we get to learn from her. 60 of those, one right after another. And the biggest thing about that is teaching people how to stand in that integrity and not to sell themselves. And it's really fun to watch. So Daisy, I'm so proud to have you on board.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited about it, as you can probably tell. But aside from that, I know there's other initiatives that you have within what you're doing. So you've got, you've got the chair, you've got what is it? What's the other one that you have? The
That's
baseline.
plenty. It's plenty. We have plenty. I think just my ask is that people start going to sleep at night with pillow chairs of joy, or however you want to frame them,
Yeah.
as we talked about today. And don't be afraid to order those cards on Amazon. And I can send you a detailed. I just really want people to use the work and start experiencing it. And so I just got invited to 13 community centers in Las Vegas last night to go have children in the community centers take my Goodwill chairs that have been stacked up in my garage and start painting them so we can take them to the school so teachers can start using the chair of joy in the corner of the classrooms. So there's so many things to participate. If you want to volunteer, if you want to work with us, we're growing and all the things. So I'm just excited to be part and to know you guys.
I love that. Thank you so much. We started something last week that we want to continue week after week, which is kind of the one action. You talked about what are you going to take away from today? And so we try to make our one action of the week relate to the topic. So we'll share, Daisy and I each have one, right? So we talk about glass house, seeing your company and yourself from the inside and from the outside. And so my action this week is kind of in line of what you said, right? But I wanted to say, before anyone, first thing in the morning, right? Before you walk in to your first meeting of the day, I said 90 seconds, but it can be 60, it can be 10, whatever you've got, right? Don't review your notes. Don't think about the meeting, right? Just check yourself, right? Just why are you here? What are you excited about? What is it that, I'm walking in to do? Kind of a self-regulation of not all the, what could happen, what could be wrong. Just do what the exercise that you gave us, right? Before you walk in that first meeting and say, okay, I'm ready. And I'm going to sit and I'm going to breathe and I'm going to think and I'm going to feel, right?
Most people don't get that right off the bat. That was incredible.
Oh, I love it. You can tell I love this. This is like right in my wheelhouse. So that is my one action, and that'll be on our Friday action plan. That'll be on LinkedIn on Friday as well. So Daisy, what's yours?
So mine is really, because I look at the outside all the time. It's like, it's always noise, right? And so please do not look at your social media. Do not look at any of that external noise. Like, put that, literally, either put it, turn it over. Don't look at that blue light. Just try, really try. And I know it's very hard. Turn it off, turn the ringer off to put in do not disturb. How many of you are always anxious that next email is going to come at 11 o'clock at night and you don't even have to answer it, but you're anticipating it, right? Like, something's going to come and I need to look at it. So be present with your pillow, basically, and do that. So there's some comments here. I want to make sure that we address it. So yet another awesome podcast. Thank you, whoever LinkedIn user is.
That's
Daisy,
Laura.
probably Laura, and for inspiring me and keeping finding my joy. And then Heather says, thank you. See you on my pillow.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
It's under the chat. That'll be good. That'll be really good.
Yeah,
I love this. Well, we also, if it's okay, Daisy, you want to talk a little bit about what's happening in our world, in our glass house world?
We have the Glass House Cohort 3 that is going to be starting. So please check out our website. Please scan the QR code. We're also looking for some wait lists. We have 3 different programs that we're offering, and we'd love for you to join us. So the benefits to that is that we work with all sorts of businesses, whether you're a solopreneur, a consultant, and those are the success stories that we've had actually from our cohorts. And we'd love for you to join. We look at, again, what we see in the inside and the outside, and we try, and it's a very personal experience with us. We're not just in a Zoom call. We are very engaged in the activities that you do. You've got exercises that you need to do, and we help you discover who you are, number one, what your brand is, and how you should present yourself in the world. So whatever you're going through in your business, take a look at our site and pick the one that matches where you're at this stage. So
yeah, we're really excited about the next cohort. It's been amazing so far. We always like to say too, reach out to us about anything. One, you want to be a guest on the show? We'd love to have you. Sheryl, we got to bring you back. No question about it. We did not, as always, have enough time. Find us on all the things that Daisy said don't do every day. Turn off your phone, but don't look at it every day. And we really want to hear from you. Reach out. You know, we love to talk to people. We'd love to hear what your challenges are, how we can support you, what we can do to make your lives better every day. You know, we're all in this together. So it's very exciting. And Sheryl, thank you so much for such an incredible hour. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day. Every morning at 7:45 Pacific time, we do JQ Live. So if you want to come and just talk with us, Dr. Brian Grossman runs that for the most part, but it's just a good chance to remember what joy intelligence is and how it can impact your life. But my takeaway today was getting on a plane with you, Daisy, and going to the sea and having a glass of wine with Sheryl, wherever she is in the world, and figuring out how we're going to take joy intelligence to the entire world, because people are so excited and want to hear this from experts like yourself. So you and your community, I would love to do that.
Yeah, we'll be flying first class for sure. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Always go to the left. All right. Ladies, have a wonderful week. Enjoy. Find your joy today and through the week. We'll see you next week for another episode of The Glass House. Thank you for all your support. We really, really appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.